Hey everyone, today we are in Shawnee, Oklahoma, more specifically at the Tecumseh Cemetery, and we're here to pay a visit to a couple of old criminals from the Depression era, and they were associated with Machine Gun Kelly. Let me show you who we're talking about. Now, if you'd like to know where I'm at, that is the main entrance into the cemetery there, and there's a monument company right there where that building is. So this is basically the first section that I'm showing you. Just come one section over and you're gonna see this one right here. And it says Mother Ora Lillian Brooks, August 22nd, 1888 to May 21st, 1980. And then daughter Lara Cleo Kelly, March 18th, 1904 to May 28th, 1985. Cleo Lara Mae Brooks was better known as Kathryn Kelly and the wife of the infamous Machine Gun Kelly. She was a criminal in her own right and quite possibly more than we will ever know. Kathryn was born Cleo Lara Mae Brooks on March 18, 1904 in Mississippi. Her parents were James Emery and Ora Brooks. They divorced sometime when Cleo was about 9 years old and they moved to Coleman County, Texas. Ora started working as a hotel manager and eventually married a rancher and local politician named Robert G. Shannon of Paradise, Texas in 1927. He went by the nickname Boss. Cleo changed her name to Kathryn shortly before marrying her first husband, Lonnie Clyde Fry, at the age of 15. She gave birth to her only child, Pauline, in 1919. After 2 years, she separated from her husband. She married again, this time to an L.G. brewer, but they soon separated and she moved back in with her mother and stepfather. Her third husband was a bootlegger named Charlie Thorne. After a quarrel, Thorne, who was allegedly illiterate, was found dead with a typed suicide note. The judge looked past this, though, and she was never found guilty or convicted of murder. Kathryn was already an experienced criminal by the time she met George Kelly. Together, they operated as bootleggers in the Fort Worth area. She bought him a machine gun and gave him the nickname Machine Gun Kelly. Together, they planned their famous kidnapping scheme in July of 1933 when they abducted Charles F. Urschel and held him for ransom. They used the farm of Kathryn's mother to hide Urschel. For the kidnapping, they collected a ransom of $200,000. That's somewhere around $3.95 million today. While Kathryn was on the run with George Kelly, she tried to broker a deal with an FBI agent. She was trying to get a more lenient sentence for herself and her mother in exchange for turning in George Machine Gun Kelly. This deal never went through, though, as the FBI captured her husband before they finalized it. Kathryn, George, her mother, and stepfather were all sentenced to prison as a result. Kathryn and her mother were sentenced to life, and Shannon was sentenced to 25 years. George Machine Gun Kelly would later die in prison in Leavenworth, Kansas. Kathryn and her mother, Ora, served 25 years together at a woman's correctional establishment in Virginia before being released. Shannon was released after serving 11 years of his sentence and returned to Paradise, Texas. He died just 12 years later. Upon the death of Machine Gun Kelly, whose family would not claim the body, Shannon arranged for George's burial in the Shannon family plot in Paradise, Texas. Upon the release of Kathryn and Ora, they lived quietly in the Oklahoma City area. Kathryn changed her name once again to Lara Cleo Kelly and tried to avoid all the press and different people that were contacting her. She worked as a bookkeeper at the Oklahoma County Poor Farm, which at that time was a hospital and nursing home. Ora died in 1980 at the age of 92, followed by Kathryn at the age of 81 in 1985. Both women are buried at the Tecumseh Cemetery in Shawnee, Oklahoma. So I found this marker. It stood out because of the star right there, and I knew it was an American Legion one. Glover P. Cotton, February 14th, 1892 to September 5th, 1926. Veteran of the World War, it says. 90th Division, Battery B, 344th Field Artillery. Gone but not forgotten. And you can see a medallion right there. Right next to it is another interesting one. Eternal Life, J.L. Cotton, February 11th, 1846 to March 29th, 1916. And it says, a Confederate soldier. He died as he lived, a Christian. And then right beside is his wife, Sarah Josephine Cotton, August 3rd, 1845 to September 1st, 1923. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Pretty neat little area here. You can see another Cotton back behind there. There's a Mason and a Christian back there, Frank and Beulah. Pretty big service members right there, though. Now this is sort of a newer section here. The last name is Patterson. Couple cowboys here. You can see a rider on a horse on both sides on the corners of it. Anita Onally, February 3rd, 1921. They were wedded on February 2nd, 1945. Lowell Macy, August 29th, 1917 to August 16th, 1993. It says he's a good un. But I like that monument. It's got a rope around the name. Immediately you can tell that it is a cowboy reference. And of course, right next to it, I'm assuming this is probably the sun. But look at this etching there, doing a little bit of cutting. And Kenny Patterson, December 26, 1945 to June 14th, 2002. We've got a big old horseshoe and cowboy boots there. On the back side, it's pretty interesting. This is the one that caught my eye right here. But this says NCHA Riders Hall of Fame. So that is the National Cutting Horse Association Riders Hall of Fame. 1986 NCHA Open Super Stakes Champion Delta Flyer. 1989 NCAA Open World Champion. And then it says J. Bar Fletch. 1989 Open Classic Champion Smart Pocolina. 1993 NCHA Open Res World Champion Commandicut. 1997 NCHA Open Res World Champion Kraken. And over here on Mr. Pat, it's obviously a tradition to be a cowboy. NCHA in this ride marked a score of 230 riding Sanjolina in the 1987 NCHA Classic. Look at all these champion things that this father and son have. 1970 American Quarter Horse Association Supreme Champ Goodbye Sam. I mean, there's a bunch. 1972, 1975, 77, 82, 83, 87, 1988. He was inducted into the National Cutting Horse Association Hall of Fame on December 11th, 1983. So he's an NCHA top 10 world standing 6 times. That's impressive. So I'm underneath 2 massive cedar trees, and they've actually split the border of this family plot area, which is the Cisna family plot. So there are several on that side, and then of course 4 on this side. Mary L. 1897 to 1912 right there. And I noticed this one first, Lawrence L. Cisna, Oklahoma. And he's a private in the 357th Infantry 90 Division, 1895 to 1933. And then right next to him is Robert M. Cisna, Company C of the 128th Indiana Infantry, November 3rd, 1844. And the date of passing is down below, so I can't see that. And then this is just a Mary Cisna. I thought it was a government marker too, but I don't believe it is. Has kind of worn down quite a bit, but 1861 to 1945. Now I didn't stop to see this one, but after I got out to see the one that I wanted to, of course this catches my eye, which is pretty amazing because it's right by the road, but something else caught my eye. But this is Robert Myers, Company F, 2nd Kentucky Cavalry, and we have a Myers right there, 1876 to 1906. But here's a John D. Lacey, Company M, 16 Illinois Cavalry. But this one back here is what caught my eye. I like just trying to go through cemeteries and seeing if I can see anything that's different or catches my eye. And of course, the way this is with the rock work, it certainly does. Benjamin N. Craig, 1857 to 1941. Margaret J. Craig, 1862 to 1917, and Mary Craig, 1893 to 1911. And clearly he was a Mason. Look at that one right there. It has a cherub on top and it's just kind of broken. You can see the rebar, it's been exposed. Pretty interesting, but I have no idea who that is. To the left and back one row, looks like Jason H. Mitchell, 13th Indiana Infantry, I think. Reading from a car, so it is at a little bit of a distance and I'm zooming in. Now that one right there says Corporal B.M. Chappell, Company A of the 2nd West Virginia Cavalry. One thing I've noticed in driving around is that there are very few Confederate veteran markers, but quite a few Union markers in this cemetery. Hugh McCafferty, Company D of the 21st Iowa Infantry. John Hillman Jr., Company O, 1st Nebraska Cavalry. I can't help but be moved by this one. I love that angel on top, but it's also sad. It's just a little child, and they're holding toys. That angel is holding toys. And there's some glass beads that have been placed there in remembrance. And then down below it says Evelyn F., daughter of C.G. and Hannah Rives, November 16th, 1926 to February 21st, 1929. And then that's the parents right there. Hannah F., September 6, 1897 to January 21st, 1945. And Claude G., November 6, 1898 to November 9th, 1990. So I'm parked up there and that's where the cemetery is. And then I noticed this kind of glimmering in the distance and it kind of had me worried. You can see cement dump right there. These are, I guess, mistakes from the monument company. I don't see any engraving on them all, but I see corner posts and then just different markers where I guess they started working on them and they got damaged. Some of them may have had a plaque on it and they've been damaged in the cemetery and they pulled it off and placed a new one because some of them look older, like what's on top. But I thought, please don't let it be names or something like that, and they're just out here in the open. But yeah, I think what it is, it's old ones that they've replaced and some maybe that they've started new and never engraved on it, or they had plaques and so they've dumped it here. That's just kind of their dump pile in the back of the cemetery, of course, where they put dirt and stuff like that. But you know me, if I see something, I've got to go check it out no matter where it is. So I saw this one right here. The last name is Dunn, Mildred L. Dunn, October 1st, 1924. And they were married February 10th, 1945. His name is Max F., August 23rd, 1925 to April 13th, 2014. What caught my eye is the backside. I don't see a whole lot of Merchant Marines. Max F. Dunn, ABQM, U.S. Merchant Marine, World War II, August 23rd, 1925 to April 13th, 2014. I only had one family member that was a Merchant Marine during World War II, and it was a great uncle. So I don't have a whole lot of experience with the ratings of it, but I see that ABQM and it makes me think aviation bosun mate, quartermaster. I don't know what that is, so maybe if you can do some quick Google research and you can leave a comment below, it would be greatly appreciated. So that's going to do it for today's episode in Tecumseh, Oklahoma. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, maybe even share it. As always, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you guys next time.